Hi, this is Dan Wright with Lazega Johanson. I am a partner in the firm and have been an attorney for over 15 years. Over that time, I have learned that the most important part of the litigation process for our associations is the collection of the judgments we obtain for our clients. Today I'll be talking to you about how to collect your judgment through garnishment. What is a garnishment? Garnishment is a process by which the association can get to an owner's money or property in the hands of a third party, like an employer, bank, or tenant, through a court order to satisfy the association's judgment. One common type of garnishment here in Georgia is a bank garnishment. If we are able to find out where the delinquent owner banks, we can garnish the homeowner's bank account. To do this, we file the garnishment with the clerk of court, who issues an order to the bank to freeze the owner's account for a period of not less than 30 days and no more than 45 days. After that, the bank must pay all of the funds from the owner's account to the clerk of court. However, there are some kinds of funds that cannot be garnished, like Social Security payments and disability payments, so those funds will be exempted from the garnishment and will not be paid to the clerk of court. The main advantage to this type of garnishment is the potential to pay off the judgment in one single action. The main disadvantage of this type of garnishment is that it is only good for the one withholding period and must be refiled if the initial garnishment does not pay the judgment in full. By that time, the owner has usually changed banks and we must locate a new bank account. Next is my favorite kind of garnishment, the wage garnishment. If the owner's place of employment can be determined, we can file a garnishment with the clerk of court, who then issues an order to the owner's employee to withhold and pay 25% of the owner's disposable or after-tax income over to the clerk for the next 6 months. The employer is then required to file an answer for each pay period during the next 6 months. If the judgment is not paid off during the initial 6-month period, the garnishment can then be refiled until the judgment is paid off or the owner's employment with the employer ends. I like this type of garnishment because even though it doesn't usually have the potential for the quick hit satisfaction of the judgment like a bank garnishment, it lasts longer than a bank garnishment, and owners don't tend to change their employers as often as they change banks. So it has a greater potential to pay off the association's judgment over time. Another type of garnishment of particular interest to the community association is the rent garnishment. If we're able to confirm that an owner is leasing property to a tenant in any county in Georgia, we can file a garnishment with the clerk of court for that county against the owner's tenant. The clerk of court will then issue an order for the tenant to pay the next rent payment due from the tenant to the delinquent owner over to the clerk of court. While getting payment from the rent garnishment is obviously a positive, there are disadvantages of this type of garnishment. First, the garnishment is only good for one rental period and must be refiled every month until the judgment is paid or the tenant moves out. Second, many owners who lease their units rely on the rent from the tenant to pay the mortgage on the unit, so if they lose that income, they may lose the unit too. So there you have it, the basics of collecting your association's judgment by garnishment. Of course, there are some exceptions and exemptions which may apply in certain circumstances, but by and large, most delinquent owners will be subject to at least one of these forms of garnishment. Regardless of whether the garnishment actually captures enough money to satisfy the judgment in full, filing the garnishment shows the owner that the association means business and intends to collect on its judgment sooner rather than later. Garnishments always get the owner's attention and usually will get the owner to the table to resolve the debt.